All right, everybody. I'm back again tonight with more wrenches. Like I said, wrenches, 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 and more wrenches. Uh, these aren't so much combination wrenches. These are more gear wrenches. I had one of the viewers ask me how I like the snap-on ones versus some of the other ones that I have. And I recommended to him as far as the Tekton ratchets, the long double boxed in flex ratchets. The reason why I recommended him was because he complained that the snap-on digging in his hand, and I could relate to that. You can see this has got a pretty wide beam on it. These are actually a satin finish. This set's right around $200 compared to Snap-on's $600. Lengthwise, I'm not sure what the actual length is in comparison. Give me just a second, and I'm gonna grab a tape measure, and I'm gonna measure this for you guys. But this is our 17. This is the 19. This is our Tekton wrench. Like I said, you can see that that's nicely stamped. Most of them, you see that they're stamped, the metal's expanded. This is like almost machined into it. I mean, the finish on these is just unreal for $200. You see right here, they show the drive side. It's laser etch, tell you which direction for tightening, right and left. I don't know if you can see that, you guys. They do that on all of them. Like I said, the finish on these is just unreal. This is a 12-point design. It's another reason why I picked these wrenches when I bought them. It's because I'm not into the spline. I don't really care for them. My experience, when you over torque something with a spline, it tends to leave marks in it. If you have a bolt that doesn't make contact in the whole, width of this, I don't know what you would call that, but the whole width of this spanner right here inside of this, in other words, if it doesn't pass all the way up through it and bite all the way to the top of it, a lot of times if you're just biting on half of this, it tends to want to strip it out, where a 12 point and a 6 point don't do that. So that's just my experience with spline. Spline is just nice because it's so universal. It fits everything. It fits torques. It fits squares. It fits 12 point. It fits 6 point. And I'm sure I'm leaving a few out. So, I mean, if you're not, looking for it to fit anything and everything, I would go with a 12 point. I've had better experience with a 12 point wrench than I have a spline wrench. But that's just my opinion. Let me just step away from the camera here for a second. I'm going to actually grab a tape measure. I'm going to measure this for you guys as well. While we're reviewing our Taiwanese tools, we got to use our Chinese tape measure. So, here we go. You see this guy's roughly 18 inches long. Maybe just a little less than that. 7/8 it looks like. But like I said, just the fit, finish, and everything on these is just phenomenal. These do have a bolt inside of them, so you could tighten these. They don't seem to be as thick as the Snap-on ones right through here. The pin doesn't seem to be as large as the Snap-ons. But the warranty on these is just phenomenal. If you break this wrench, you take a picture of it, you contact them and email them with their warranty services, and they will send you a new wrench. They don't play around with, send it in and, all this wishy-washy stuff. I mean, they're just like gear wrench. Gear wrench don't play with that. They just, you take a picture of it, you fill out their warranty form, and they send you a socket. So this company is the same way. And if you buy these wrenches, they're going to give you 10% in rewards money. So if you spend $200 or $210 for this set, they're going to give you $21 in rewards money to use for whatever you want for your next purchase. And I think that's phenomenal. You can't get on the Snap-on truck and do that. You're lucky to get a deal on it on the Snap-on truck. So, and that's not me, giving a plug for free stuff or anything like that. That's just me, stating my experience with them and just the phenomenal service that I have received from them. Um, I've been very happy with everything that I have bought from them. So let's move on to the next wrench. Keep putting them upside down there. Another one, Tekton. Very consistent as far as the stamping on these. Like I said, most of them you see, certain parts of it are like deeper than others, and like it's stamped with a machine. This is almost like it's etched into it or machined into it. It's almost so perfect. It's a nice stamp here that you can actually legibly see. It's 16 millimeter. The other side we have an 18 millimeter, very legible. Back side the same way. That's going to be our part number. I'm sorry that it's upside down, but just kind of flipped the wrench over and there it was. But here's going to be our part number for a single wrench. 18 millimeter. Like I said, direction for the drive. It's on every wrench. 12 point. Very, very smooth. I would almost say this is as smooth, if not smoother, than the Snap-on. And like I said, this beam on this is actually kind of squared off a little bit. I think it's a little more comfortable than a Snap-on wrench. I usually use a set of mechanics glove with a Snap-on wrench because if I'm struggling with a bolt getting it out or whatever, those things just tend to dig into my hands. That they make some of the greatest wrenches, and usually form fit and everything on the Snap-on is usually spot on, but with my bony hands, they just seem to dig in. And I've heard that on a number of other people say that too. But usually I use a set of mechanics gloves. But this has such a wide beam on it. It's a very comfortable wrench. I mean, you can look down that wrench and see it's not bent. It's not like a lot of these wrenches that you get, off of Amazon and stuff. You get them and they're bent and, waving at you, have a hoop in them. This is a high quality wrench. Like I said, I've been very impressed with Tekton stuff. This is our third wrench out of 7 here, which I can't believe you get 7 wrenches for $200. I mean, I think that's just a phenomenal deal. And no one goes all the way down to 6 millimeter, and no one goes all the way up to 19 millimeter in a full set. Usually they skip a size, 18 or 17. If you buy an import set, if you buy a Snap-on set, usually I believe they skip the 9 millimeter. Not that anybody ever uses it or anything, but it's just crazy that they all go all the way down to 6 millimeter in a wrench this long. And we'll get to that, and I'll show you here, towards the end. But this is our 15. Here's our part number. 13. Nice flexible end here. Like I said, it has a screw in it, set screw, or a shoulder screw that you can actually tighten these up. Nice smooth ratchet. Directions on them that are laser etched. And we have our Tekton on the other side. Large visible size on both ends, just like on the other side. And I don't know if that's a blem or if I think that's just a scratch from being in my drawer probably. But it's hard to find any flaws on these. These are like a satin finish. Almost look like a stainless finish, that there's such a matte finish on them. You see there's a little bit of room around these guys right here. It's not as much as some of the other ones that I've used, but these are a little bit on the thick side. Not as thick as some of the other ones I've seen. But like I said, this has been my favorite set of wrenches that I bought so far. Not that I've gotten to use them a whole bunch, but this has been my favorite set of wrenches as far as long wrenches. Here's our fourth wrench, which is a 14 and a 12. Here's the 12. I said nice, flexible. There's our pin. Very consistent. And the ratchet mechanism, I haven't heard one louder than another. They're just as smooth from one to the next. Tekton logo. Here's a 14. We just flipped it over so it wasn't upside down. And like I said, this flex is very nice. Very smooth. This is the 14. You can see that that shoulder gets a little thinner, but still pretty flat on the back side of it. Doesn't have really sharp edges on it. Maybe just right here it could be radiused a little more, but all in all, this is a little bit thicker than a snap-on wrench. I shouldn't say it's thicker, but the beam itself is thicker on the backside where you would be palming this. Snap-on tend to be like really narrow in the back. Let's move on to the next one. Here's our 11. Tekton logo. I believe that is a 9mm. I'm not 100% positive on that, but I'm pretty sure that's a 9mm. Like I said, you can hear that ratchet mechanism. They're very consistent from one to another. Not like super loud, but very smooth. Part number 11mm. You see that one a little better. It looks like a 9mm. I use this one quite a bit. May not look like it, but I shouldn't say that. This is the 11. I'm thinking of the 10, but I have used this one as well on a few fan bolts on some Fords that come in the shop. We still have a few in the fleet that actually still have fans on them. And I do use this one as well, but not as often as I'm going to use the next one that you're going to take a look at, which is the 10. This is our 10mm. Like I said, you listen to that ratchet and they're just so consistent. These are stiff, but not too stiff. I mean, they're very flexible. They stay in place. They don't flop around. Here is our 8. Same thing. A little stiff right in that area, but I'm sure it'll wear in. Very smooth. One of the things I just don't like about smaller sizes is they have a lot of meat around the edges here. Even the insert has a lot exposed there. But that's with just about any of the gear wrenches I've seen in that smaller sizes that do that. I don't know why they do that. It almost makes the 7 or 8mm useless when they have all this extra material on the outside of here. But I use this one quite a bit right here. I use this on a lot of my Fords, on my water pumps, on my 3.7s, 3.9s, and on an interceptor cars and stuff like that. A lot of miscellaneous stuff that I use this on. This is a very common wrench for me, especially with the 8mm, because a lot of water pumps have 8mm bolts on them. Thermostats have 8mm bolts on them, and a lot of the turbo, I believe it's the 2.7s, 2.9s, and you have 3.2s and 3. There's so many of them. 3.7 and a 3.5, I believe. But even the EcoBoost and stuff like that, this 8mm comes in handy. I use this quite a bit just so I don't have to take so much stuff off. It makes it nice to be able to reach down there and get to a lot of those nuts and bolts and stuff. And like I said, it spins so smooth. Like I said, this is just as smooth as the Snap-on, if not smoother. There's our part number. Like I said, these numbers are very visible. The only one I really struggle with so far has been the 9mm. It could be mistaken for an 8, you know, especially if your eyes are not as good like mine are. I could definitely use some readers. Last wrench, but not the least of them. Let's see here. We got Tekton, and this one right here is a 6 millimeter, and you can see what I'm talking about as far as the insert. They almost make this thing almost useless, and I've never used a 6 millimeter on anything, but you can hear how smooth that ratchets. And I can't see anybody ever using a 6 millimeter. But I mean, if anybody has any ideals or anything, or you know, ran into the situation that you need something this long on a 6 millimeter, let me know. I'd be glad to share it with everybody else, and I'm sure if they read it, they could probably relate to it as well. Like I said, we have our Tekton here, 7 millimeter, and I've used this one more than I thought I would right here. I've used this on map sensors on 3.1s and a few other things I found in the engine compartment. Why they put 7 millimeters on them, I don't know. But, I mean, this came in handy. I've used it a couple times, not a whole bunch, but when you need a 7 millimeter, you know, it holds down some of these stupid brackets that they have in the Fords. It comes in handy. So, like I said, it's very smooth. And there's no inconsistencies on these from one to another. It's just amazing, especially for a Taiwanese ratchet. The first one we measured was right at 18 inches. This one is about 16 and a half. And that is our 18 and 15. Here is our 13 and 15, which is another very popular size. I use this one quite a bit too on a lot of the Fords, exhaust manifolds and stuff like that. This one's right at 16 inches. And it's a good length wrench. 12 and 14. This would be a great import wrench for a lot of manifolds, intake gaskets, stuff like that, and a lot of imports. And this one's just under 16 inches, so one's like 15 and 3/4. This is our 11 and 9, I believe. And I think that's kind of nice that they put the 11 on and the 9 on the same wrench, because it's not like you're going to use these two sizes together or use these two sizes period out of this set. So it's nice that it's on one wrench and doesn't seem to be wasted. You know, when you do need it, you will need it. Like I said, I still use this on some fan bolts. Like I said, in the fleet, we still have a couple Ford that have fan bolts and an 11 millimeter. This one's about 13 and a half, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. These last two right here are almost the same exact length. We're just going to measure both of these. This should be our, I believe it's our 8, our 6, our 7, and 10. So those two wrenches are roughly about 12 inches long. Like I said, if you're looking for a set of long wrenches and you don't want to spend the money on the snap-on set, or if you're just curious about the snap-on set in general, I have done a review on the snap-on set. So if you want to look at that video, maybe you come back and take a look at this one and see what you're missing. That's the kind of what it's here for, because you only see these things in a black and white picture when you go to the Tekton page. They don't really give you a lot to go on quality wise. It's almost like a black and white picture. It doesn't give you much to really to get the incentive to really want to buy it, which is kind of nice here. Like I said, you can actually physically, or not physically, but visually see what you're getting here. And I think this is a very quality tool, very good quality tool. I have a lot of Snap-on, and I just wanted to try to Snap-on out. And like I said, when I get the opportunity to buy something equivalent to this right here, I like trying it out. But at the same time, if I can buy my Snap-on stuff for 50 cents on the dollar, I'm going to buy it and try it out, because if you can buy Snap-on stuff 50 cents on the dollar, you have a good chance of getting rid of it. Or something like this, if you buy for $200, it's hard to flip it. But this is such a good quality tool. If someone bought this, I just can't see somebody wanting to get rid of it. It's a very good quality tool, and I do like the satin finish on it. It reminds me a lot of the old school Blue Point wrenches in the earlier days. A lot of the Great Britain tool, I guess is what it was. A few other ones out there that used to have this satin finish on it. So being old school, it kind of brings back some memories. But the finish on this looks so much better than those wrenches. This is smooth and not like a sandblasted finish. It almost looks like a stainless finish on it. So it's obviously been in a tumbler or something. They actually put some effort into this and quality control into these wrenches. So, like I said, I'm not really out there to give Tekton a commercial or whatever. Give them a whatever, a plug, whatever you want to call it. I think some people are just missing out on some quality tools, and especially when a company's willing to give you 10% back. And you can buy these wrenches off Amazon, don't get me wrong. You're still going to spend $195 to $210, but you're not going to get 10% back. If you go to Tekton's webpage, you register with them, and you buy any tools from them, they will give you 10%, and then you have an account with them. You can go in and see how much you have in your rewards, and you can spend it on whatever you want as far as their webpage goes. Like I said, I don't know any tool company that actually does that. So, I mean, I just been very impressed with them. And like I said, I'm not giving them a plug, but at the same time I am. Like I said, I think a lot of people are really missing out. Like I said, I had one of my viewers actually ask me how I like the Snap-on wrenches, and I just really haven't had a chance to try them out, and I recommended these to him. So I figured I'd do a video on them, so maybe he can get an idea if this is something that he wants. And I really think a lot of people are just missing out. So go to the webpage, check them out. There's a lot of people who's done reviews on these. I believe Jeff's Auto has done one on these as well. And you can get a better idea of, how they fit, backlash and stuff like that. I think he actually put some bolts in the ends of these guys here and kind of showed you how sloppy they were or how loose they were compared to other competitors and stuff. And he did a pretty good review on them as well. He was very impressed with the fit and finish on them as well. So I mean, that's two people, on YouTube that I know of has actually done reviews on these, and every one of them been extremely impressed with the quality of them. So you guys will have to go check them out, and I hope this helps out my viewer that actually asked me how I like my Snap-on wrenches, and he didn't really want to spend the money, so this is just an option that I threw out there. But this will give him a better idea if this is something that he wants. So, but if anybody else has any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them for you. Like I said, just drop them below. Give me a like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later. I appreciate it. Have a good night.